again. It's a Redskin.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we learned a lot from the media day, the first day of the media day for the Chicago Bulls. We took a deeper dive into obviously what Billy Donovan, Arturas, DeMar, and Zach, Vooch, Caruso, Goran Dragic, Patrick Williams, what they all had to say. And there are a couple of things, unfortunately, that I did actually miss out on that I really wanted to bring to your attention in relation to the media day. So today, we're going to be focusing on the most important things to take out of media day, as well as some of the things I may have missed out on in relation to media day, just to bring you the absolute best clarity I could possibly give. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls media day experience. Were you excited? Were you nervous? Were you positive? Were you negative? Did it fill you with excitement for the regular season? I'm sure it did for most people, but maybe people saw some doubts and things like that from media day, and that's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. You're getting answers, you're getting questions that you thought would never be asked. That's the whole point of media day. And when we get stuck into training camp and being that prepared, being busy, I'm sure we'll get to see a lot of those answers on the floor for ourselves as well. So let's get started on a couple of things that I actually failed to mention in relation to, I guess, media day. And the more specific one I want to talk about is the potential partnership between Andre Drummond and, of course, Nikola Vucevic. I didn't necessarily talk a lot about this. I kind of went more a basic in that approach, saying that a lot of different experiments need to be taking place. But there was quite a few questions asked about Andre Drummond and Nikola Vucevic. Would they be able to work together? They were asked to Billy Donovan. They were asked to Nikola Vucevic. What I found very interesting about the answers that both of them give is that they feel fairly open about the experiment of Andre Drummond and Nikola Vucevic. Now, I have made a video about this in the past saying, can they work together? And my honest answer was, it's not going to be a main common thing we see throughout the season. But if we're going to see a big lineup, then maybe we can adjust and play a big lineup of our own if need be, which means you might see a couple minutes here and there where you see Andre Drummond and you see Nikola Vucevic play together, and that experiment can maybe take place. Billy Donovan spoke more in the training camp scenario, saying that we'll see how that experiment works in training camp. And obviously with Nikola Vucevic, he said he was open to playing with Andre Drummond, playing side by side with him. He mentioned Tristan Thompson as well, saying about that experiment. I thought that experiment wasn't played out as much as it could have been, and it was also a disaster at some points when it was played as well. So there is a lot to worry about, but there's also a lot of positives that they're going to be a little bit more free in terms of the lineup and maybe try to switch things up here and there with Andre Drummond and Nikola Vucevic. So I admire both of those answers, and I do think it can work against some teams. I mentioned the Indiana Pacers of last year when they had Sabonis and Miles Turner, when they played two bigs in that way. I think that could work when you play Vucevic and Andre Drummond to match those two bigs. You don't always need to have, I guess, a player from the power forward that's extremely small and that can move all across the place. Sometimes you need bigger bodies to maybe protect the post, protect the rim, grab rebounds over 2 7-footers and stuff like that. So it's all about versatility. It's all about the diversity of the team, and what is needed at that time is what we can get from that time as well. So I feel very positive about that situation, and I really am looking forward to, I guess, that lineup if we ever actually come to see it in the regular season. We might see it very soon. Maybe we'll see it against Cleveland. I think that's a team where maybe we can look to adjust. Cleveland are going to play Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Maybe you could play Nikola Vucevic and Andre Drummond. Maybe match the size that they're going to have, and that would be an interesting concept. But we'll wait and see. Obviously, it might be very early in the season. Maybe we'll just go to what we want to see throughout the regular season and through the NBA playoffs as well. We'll move on into the next one, ladies and gentlemen. Zach LaVine talked about his expectations in relation to the Chicago Bulls. This wasn't necessarily from the Chicago Bulls media day. I think this was an outside interview with another organization. I'm not too sure who it is, so I apologize in advance. But basically, the quote that I found in relation to Zach LaVine is saying, if we're not competing for a championship, then what are we doing here? Or something around those lines. Basically saying the Chicago Bulls should be competing for a championship. And I found that very interesting because I think that's the first time someone actually really gave an honest expectation, or not an honest expectation, just an expectation that was a little bit bizarre in many ways. So when I think Billy Donovan was asked about the expectations and AK was asked about the expectations, the basic expectation was do better than last year. It's a very basic answer, but it's an answer that I think we can all accept because because obviously we want to see progression and we want to see our team do better than last year. I think Zach LaVine went a little bit above and beyond and saying we should be competing for a championship. Now, ultimately, I expect the Bulls players to really have big goals and big ambitions. Again, they got humiliated last year. Of course, they want to come back in the best way possible, and maybe that championship aspiration for them is a very likely one. But for most Bulls fans, I think if you ask a lot of Bulls fans, they're not going to be out here saying we should be competing for championships next year. I'm not sure whether it's unlikely or it's just not seen as possible or anything like that. But I think a lot of Bulls fans just want to see progression. So I like Zach LaVine's ambition. Is it really, I guess, obtainable? Well, again, every team can win a championship. It depends on luck sometimes. It depends on who's healthy. We could very well be in that fray. If we get the roll of the dice this year compared to what we got last year, maybe we'll be able to get a little bit more of that luck on our side. Who really knows? And then the championship aspirations will probably become more obtainable. But as of right now, all I really want to see is progression from last year. We're still very early on into the preseason and training camp and things like that. There's no need to go and rush into an NBA championship. You don't know what the year's going to really hold for you. So I'm not really expecting that right now. The Bulls will have to change my mind throughout the course of the regular season. Exactly what they did last year when in the first half of the season we were finishing first and second in the Eastern Conference. I think a lot of us kind of maybe saw the light, saw the championship and thought we could maybe go and get it. And obviously we got let down a little bit and that was very frustrating. So the Bulls throughout the course of the season will probably change a lot of people's mind about that. And just, yeah, pretty much very simple things. But something else that was a very big important part of training camp, and this is one I have mentioned, but it's extremely important that I discuss because multiple people discussed it. I think one of the most important goals for the Chicago Bulls is that we need to start beating those good teams. Now, a lot of people might say that the good teams weren't necessarily the problem. I think if you look at every single person's answer through our training camp, from Billy Donovan to Arturas to Zach LaVine to DeMar DeRozan to everybody, beating the good teams and becoming a good team yourself is the standard for the Chicago Bulls this year. How do we overcome those obstacles? How do we overcome losing in embarrassing fashions in many ways to some of the best teams in the NBA, because that's exactly what we faced. Again, I can list the teams that we lost to if you really like, but I know you guys know who we lost to. You know exactly the teams that we dealt with and the teams that we were humiliated by, even the teams that we came close in and lost, and you were very frustrated because you just wanted to get maybe one win. That one win can set off the rest, and maybe we can find those ways to overcome and to achieve. But we've got a year under our belt now. We had to suffer some very unfortunate circumstances, and we also have a year's experience of trials and tribulations together. So beating the good teams, in my opinion, has to be massive progression. That's a regular season goal, in my opinion. I've always said that I believe the Chicago Bulls should finish between 4th and 5th and make it out of the first round. That's what I see as progression. That's what I see as the standard right now for this team. They go above and beyond that, great. But in the regular season, we got to learn to beat these good teams. We got to learn how to overcome these good teams. And maybe every now and then, we got to learn how we can beat these good teams convincingly as well. We got to learn to take these next steps as a team. So that's definitely something we're going to keep our eye on. I know a lot of people will have a lot of definitions about what confines a good team, and we'll know more about those good teams and bad teams as the records begin to maybe start to get finalized a little bit, and you look at the talent scope of the East. So I'm intrigued by that, and it seems like a lot of people are very dedicated towards that answer, dedicated towards that improvement. Got to learn to beat the good teams. Those teams that are not really competing for anything, those are the teams that we beat and we can beat comfortably. But it's the other teams, the teams that have aspirations, the teams that want to make the playoffs, the teams that are in winning mode now. If we want to be that team that's considered a competitor, considered winning now type situation, considered a contender, then we have to go and beat those teams as well. And that will be a really true defining next step for the Chicago Bulls, and one that many people don't believe we can actually accomplish if you're not a Chicago Bulls fan. So a lot to look into there. Now, I'm going to end this video here. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. To sum it up, the most important things that I saw from this that I didn't mention and I did mention, Andre Drummond and Nikola Vucevic partnership shows that they're both open, or at least Billy Donovan and Vucevic are both open to seeing that experiment. Obviously, we talked a lot about beating the good teams and how the good teams are going to be essential for the Chicago Bulls if we are to get any sort of progression throughout the regular season. And Zach LaVine is aspiring to win a championship, and he feels like that's the the only one that truly matters. So big ambitions from Zach LaVine, one that I feel like Bulls fans, not a lot, maybe some Bulls fans, but not a lot of Bulls fans will probably follow in that pursuit. Of course, we want to win a championship, but it just, for many people, is not really seen as obtainable right now. So they're going to have to prove our mind. They're going to have to change our mind on that as well. And let's hope they can get the job done. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.